Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into transforming your standard, basic drafting commands into a highly efficient, totally professional workflow. Listen, if you've ever found yourself manually updating the font on, say, 100 different labels across a massive, sprawling design, well, you know exactly how frustrating and, let's be honest, soul-crushing that can be. But today, we're going to fix that. We're looking closely at the core mechanics of annotation and documentation. We'll focus specifically on how establishing rigorous text and dimension styles up front will fundamentally change the way you work, keeping your drawings clean, accurate, and just incredibly easy to modify later on. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll quickly cover the basics of text annotation, move into mastering multiple text styles, look at adding precision with dimensions, and finally wrap up with managing dimension styles. Let's jump right in. Section 1, Basics of Text Annotation, the building blocks of drafting. Okay, before we can automate anything, we really have to understand the basic inputs, right? The fundamental tools you use for getting text onto a drawing. When you need to label your work, you basically have two distinct paths, and knowing which one to choose is your very first step toward efficiency. Type text, or DT, to quickly drop a fixed height, single line of text. You literally just click for your insertion point, enter a height, type, and hit enter. Boom! Fast and absolutely perfect for simple standalone labels. But if you're putting together complex construction notes or a big paragraph of specs, you're going to need more control. That's exactly where multi-line text comes in. By typing mtext, or just T, you click and drag a bounding box to specify your width. That gives you a dedicated text editor, kind of like having a standard word processor right inside your drafting window. Now, what's really cool is how we can take those basic text blocks and actually make them intelligent. If you've ever changed the scale of a viewport, only to have your text become microscopically tiny or massively oversized, you need annotation scaling. By using the Anno All Visible command, you can effortlessly control the visibility of your annotations across different scales right from the status bar. And to push your efficiency even further, we've got fields. Honestly, instead of manually typing out today's date or specific drawing properties and then dealing with the inevitable headache of trying to remember to update them later, just type the field command. It lets you insert dynamic data that updates automatically whenever the drawing changes. It is a real game changer. Section 2. Mastering multiple text styles. The format once, apply everywhere secret. So now we're moving from just manually placing single notes to managing your entire document's typography. This is that format once, apply everywhere secret of pro drafting. Instead of formatting every single word individually every time you drop in an mtext box, you build a system. First, pop open the Text Style Manager. Click New and, this is critical guys, give your style a highly meaningful name. Think title text or dimension notes. Don't just leave it as Style 1. Next, you meticulously set your properties. Dial in your exact font, set your text height, maybe tweak the width vector for spacing, or add an oblique angle if you need slanted text. Finally, save, apply, and set that as your current style. From that second on, any new text you create plays exactly by those rules. But to truly utilize these styles effectively, you've got to be intentional. You should be applying specific, distinct styles to different elements of your drawing. I mean, your main titles absolutely shouldn't be using the same style as your tiny dimension numbers. Plus, you need to combine this with a robust layering system. Put these distinct styles on separate, dedicated layers for absolute visibility control. Because here is the magic trick. Modifying a text style in the manager just once will instantly and automatically update all the text using that style across your whole drawing. Imagine a client suddenly deciding Arial isn't dynamic enough on a massive project. With this system, that font change takes you 5 seconds instead of 5 soul-draining hours of manual clicking. So the real takeaway here is why this actually matters for your workflow. Implementing multiple text styles guarantees visual clarity, making different types of information instantly recognizable. It enforces rigorous consistency across all your sheets. It vastly improves your efficiency by making edits exponentially faster. And perhaps most importantly, it ensures your documents actually meet the strict professional standards expected in the industry. Standardized text is for sure the absolute hallmark of a professional. Section 3. Adding precision with dimensions. Measuring your world. Let's shift gears from words to numbers and see how this micro to macro workflow applies to measurements. You should treat these rapid-fire dimension commands as your daily utility belt. Need a straight, orthographic measurement? Energetically type dim linear. Click your 2 points and drop the line. Now, if you're working with an angled surface, dim linear is going to fail you. You'll need to type dim aligned to measure parallel to that angle. For intersections, dim angular lets you click two lines and instantly get the degrees between them. And for curved geometry, dim diameter or dim radial lets you select an arc or circle and perfectly place the measurement. Getting these commands into your muscle memory keeps your hands on the keyboard and speeds up your drafting immensely. And of course, design is totally iterative, which means you're going to constantly need to adjust things. Editing these dimensions is incredibly simple. You literally just click the dimension to select it and use those little highlighted grips to effortlessly reposition the text or extension lines. Need deeper control? Just right-click and pull up the full Properties menu. But hold on, just like with our text notes, individually tweaking grips and properties manually for every single dimension on a massive floor plan? Yeah, no way. That's incredibly inefficient. Which brings us to our final macro-level tool. Section 4. Managing Dimension Styles. Automating your annotations. The workflow here directly mirrors what we did with text styles. Just type dim style to open the manager, hit new, and assign a crystal clear name, something like standard dimensions or detail dimensions. You can even base this new style on an existing one to save yourself some time. Then you meticulously set your specific dimension properties across the various tabs. Once everything is perfectly dialed in, save it, apply it, and set it to current. Now, every new dimension you create is governed by those exact rules. This brilliantly illustrates the sheer power you have from this one single menu. Within those tabs, you're dictating the exact text height, font, and placement for your numbers. You're defining the arrow size, the arrowhead type, the leader styles. You completely control the granular geometry of the dimension itself, line thickness, spacing, extension line offsets. You dictate the units and precision, literally telling the software exactly how many decimal places to show. And crucially, you set the overall scale factor. That's the secret sauce that ensures all of those carefully chosen proportions display flawlessly, no matter what drawing scale you ultimately print at. By mastering both text and dimension styles, you fundamentally shift how you interact with your drafting software. You stop fighting the program on a line-by-line basis, and you start acting like a systems manager, building consistent, professional designs that automatically update globally with just a single click. So, as you look at your own workflow and the drawings you're producing today, I want to leave you with one final thought. When someone looks at your plans, are your annotations communicating clearly, or are they just adding to the noise?